If this is the truth about God and worship, let us also analyze the concept of salvation. When one of the most prominent philosophers of Hinduism, Shankaracharya, categorically states that only through true knowledge, jnanam, that is the realization that you and God are one, can a person attain true salvation. Madhvacharya and Ramanuja vehemently argue that only through prayers and rituals alone, that is Bhakti Marga, salvation can be attained. Whereas the Vedas teach that only through deeds assigned to each, that is the so-called upper caste Brahmins, the priests performing the religious rites, Kshatriyas, that is the ruling and warrior class carrying out the duties of governing the country, Vaishyas, that is traders engaging themselves in activities of trade, and the oppressed lower caste submitting themselves to the service of the other three castes, can a person attain true salvation. If I refuse to accept Hinduism as the true religion which will lead me to the path of salvation, because it prophesies confusing and conflicting concepts to attain salvation, can anyone accuse me of not using my faculty of thought and reasoning, or say that my decision is wrong? When it is stated in verse 16 of chapter 24 of Deuteronomy, the 5th book in the Old Testament, the father shall not be put to death for the sins of the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the sins of the father. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. When it is stated in verse 20 of chapter 18 of the book of Ezekiel, that the one who sin is the one who die, the son shall not be punished for his father's sin, nor shall the father be punished for the sins of his son. The righteous person will be rewarded for his own goodness, and the wicked person for his wickedness. When Jesus Christ alayhi salam is stated in verse 1 and 2 of chapter 7 of the Gospel of Matthew, that you will be judged in the manner you judge others, and you will be measured in the manner you measure others. Paul, on the contrary, teaches that the only path to salvation is the belief that Jesus Christ is God as well as Son of God, and that He died on the cross to atone for all our sins, including the burden of the so-called original sin that every child is born with, because of the wrong committed by Eve and Adam of eating the forbidden fruit. And unfortunately, it is the accepted belief of Christianity. If I refuse to accept Christianity as the true religion which will lead me to the path of salvation, because it prophesies confusing and conflicting theories of attaining salvation, can anyone accuse me of not using my faculty of thought and reasoning, or say that my decision is wrong? Free from the above mentioned unconvincing and confusing theories and ideologies, Islam, after explaining the clear-cut distinction between true faith and false faith, morality and immorality, right and wrong, justice and injustice, good and evil, righteousness and vice, states in categorical terms that to attain salvation, man has to have faith and do all good deeds that Allah has asked us to do, and refrain from evil deeds that Allah has prohibited. The glorious Quran emphatically denies the wrong perception that man has to carry the sin committed by others by asserting in verse 134 of chapter 2, لَهَا مَا كَسَبَتُ وَلَكُمْ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ وَلَا تُسْأَلُونَ إِمَّا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. They shall get reward for what they did, and you will get what you did. You will not be questioned for what they did. The noble Quran refutes the misconceived faith that man will be punished for the sins of others by proclaiming in verse 38 of chapter 53, Allah taziru waziratun bizra ukhra. No bearer of burden can bear the burden of another. The glorious Quran leads man to the true path of salvation by stating in chapter 99 verses 7 and 8, فَمَنْ يَأْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَأْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. And anyone who has done an atom's weight of good shall see it, and anyone who has done an atom weight of evil shall see it. If I have accepted these divine principles as the right path to attain salvation, and accepted Islam as the true religion which will help me to be successful in this world and the world hereafter, as it is the only religion that prophesies the true and the most rational concept of salvation, and also explains in clear terms the ways to achieve it, Can anyone accuse me of not using my faculty of thought and reasoning, or say that my decision is wrong? There are still quite a number of other reasons why I accepted Islam as the religion from God.